Alright, welcome back to Free Rev. In today's video, we're seeing if a 13-year-old downhill bike can still shred. Let's get into it. So moving on to the pros and cons of a 13-year-old downhill bike. We'll start off with the cons, because you'll expect these the most. I'm 5'10" about, and I was on a size medium for 2013. By today's standards, that'd be about a small or just bigger than your average small for most bike brands, which I gotta say, it rode amazing. So starting off with cons, let's get into it. Cons would be super small. I kept having to push myself back because I noticed that I kept riding over that front axle and above because of how small the cockpit was. It also got real sketchy hitting jumps because I couldn't really move myself back, and it's such a tight space. But besides that, it actually wasn't bad. Moving on to the pros, there's actually a lot of pros. Pros would be it descends like a machine. I did not expect it, but through tight, rocky corners that are super steep, no problem with that. Because of the short wheelbase and the small tires, it could just turn real sharp and roll right on through. It was phenomenal down the double black diamond chunk. And then jumps, it did all right. It wasn't that good, but it was acceptable for a 13-year-old bike. Let's go over the components. Alright, so getting into it, we'll start off with the drivetrain. I'm rocking the old SRAM EXO DH drivetrain with Saint cranks. And then I got Saint brakes on it because they're the best. For suspension, I'm rocking a Fox Float DHX and then a RockShox Boxer RC4. Cockpit wise, I'm running a 50mm Renthal stem with Chromag foo bars. They're a 20mm rise. I'm rocking the DD Knucklebuster grips. I have the front end about as high as you can go, along with the bars. And then wheels, I have DT Swiss FR600 rear and just your standard Canfield front with a Canfield hub. The rear, you got yourself the Chris King hub. Gotta love that. Now, I guess moving on to would I recommend for the average rider to slightly more advanced rider, would I recommend you to buy a 13-year-old downhill bike? And to that, I have to say it depends. Some of the bikes out there are phenomenal, like my Canfield Jedi. It was ahead of its time. It was high pivot. It had its iconic Formula One suspension that they still use to this day, which at that point, high pivots were rare. You would never see one, and back then they didn't think that that was the way. And now you look at it, all the downhill bikes and enduro bikes are rocking high pivots. Heck, even trail bikes use high pivots now because they found that that's better. Which I have to say, yeah, it depends on the bike, but in general, if you wanted to get into bike park riding and you want something with a bit more travel, I'd say, yeah, go for it. You find that right bike and it works. I also have a 2013 Specialized SX Trail, also 13 years old, and it still shreds phenomenally, especially after I put a Marzocchi Bomber Z1 and a 27.5 front wheel on it. It fixed it. The head tube angle is now a degree slacker. if I recall right, it's about 65 or 64 degree head tube angle now. And with that 27.5 front wheel, it just rolls a bit better over the rocky terrain. But yeah, if you want to, I'd say go for it. Free rev out.